In the early 20th century, scaling corporate output required a linear increase in physical labor. At the height of Henry Ford's manufacturing empire, his workforce generated roughly $9,000 in revenue per employee. By 1985, computing hardware shifted the scale. IBM's matrixed pyramid structure allowed the company to reach $123,000 in output per worker, but growth still required a massive physical headcount. The rise of the platform economy began to stretch the limits of human-scale production. By 2008, Amazon was driving $1.45 million per employee. Modern AI-driven models operate on a different plane. Under Jensen Huang, NVIDIA generates $5 million for every person on its payroll. This chart reveals the geometry of the current shift. If you compare Ford's historic baseline against AI-native companies, the decoupling of revenue from human labor is clear. The coding startup Cursor now generates $13 million per employee. Inside traditional enterprise companies, junior knowledge workers are disappearing from the payroll. Programmatic, agentic workflows are filling the vacuum, moving task execution out of conversational chat and into autonomous systems. For a century, the corporate pyramid assumed that scaling output required hiring a corresponding army of junior staff. These revenue per employee figures suggest that the link between headcount and growth has finally broken. The major professional services firms are already adjusting their architecture. Networks like KPMG, PwC, and Deloitte are moving past conversational assistants to deploy autonomous managed agents across their entire workforce. Agents use the Model Context Protocol, or MCP, to bypass human interfaces and query enterprise databases directly. Azure issues these system-specific intra-agent IDs, granting security clearance to independently audit compliance records and execute multi-step workflows while the workforce is offline. The economic momentum behind this architecture is significant. Anthropic's Claude Code, an agentic development tool, achieved a $2.5 billion run rate within 9 months of its public launch. In practice, PwC used these agentic systems to compress a complex insurance underwriting cycle from 10 weeks of manual review into 10 days of autonomous labor. Yet, the consulting networks deploying this technology face a structural threat. Model builders like Anthropic are now backing a $1.5 billion private equity venture to sell these automated services directly to the enterprise, potentially removing the need for human consultants. The focus of enterprise AI is shifting toward full workflow autonomy, moving beyond the incremental productivity gains of human augmentation. Machine speed carries significant risks. When software acts autonomously, errors propagate across interconnected corporate systems instantly, often before a human monitor can intervene. In a multi-agent pipeline, cascading errors occur when one agent misinterprets a task and passes that flawed output to the next. That error becomes the foundation for a sequence of irreversible corporate actions. A severe financial liability is denial of wallet. If two agents enter an infinite loop, they continuously trigger API calls, burning through vast token budgets. To prevent this, IT departments deploy strict mathematical contracts and system-level warning thresholds to stop runaway processes. They also utilize deterministic replays. Once an AI successfully maps a complex execution path, the system locks that exact route into branch-free code. The next time the task is required, the system runs the deterministic sequence, preventing the AI from re-reasoning and consuming unnecessary tokens. Governing a modern enterprise is becoming less about managing human behavior and more about hard-coding physical limits on machine autonomy. As the base of the corporate pyramid is automated, the surviving human workforce must be structurally reorganized to manage autonomous engines rather than execute tasks. One response is the diamond model. Here, the company reduces its entry-level base, but maintains a heavy middle layer of AI managers. This approach risks limiting the apprenticeship pipeline that traditionally produces future corporate leaders. Alternatively, firms like PwC are adopting an hourglass structure. This model relies on a massive base of junior workers trained to orchestrate AI, overseen by a small top tier of elite partners. The traditional middle management layer is nearly eliminated. Boutique consultancies are shifting to the Obelisk model. They operate as flat, lateral networks of senior experts commanding massive AI systems. They assemble for specific client outcomes and dissolve once the task is complete. Management theory, once built on spans of control and human reports, is changing. The humans remaining in the enterprise are no longer its workers. They are the governors of its AI engines. Companies running on AI agents are operating at a scale that traditional human pyramids struggle to match. In the modern economy, organizations relying on slow, human-led processes are being replaced by systems built for machine speed. In the agentic economy, you are either the architect of the system or you are the friction being engineered out of it.